I am your father.
If that were true, it would bother me tremendously.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
I don't think so, no.
Sponge. Introducing the Mighty Thirsty. It's the super absorbent vacuum block humans have been demanding since the beginning of time. It can hold 8 times the weight of a rhinoceros. Where'd all the liquid go? Right there. Watch me trick this Mighty Thirsty into sipping up my...
Good afternoon, this is Donald. Paul, I swear if you throw one more thing at me, you're fired. Good afternoon, unless you're Mexican or Muslim. I'm Donald Trump, and I've just come across a global crisis. It's crazy.
Sir,
what?
Sir, can you please remove your glasses?
I don't give a rat's patootie if they're still on.
Sir, this is a national.
I don't care.
This is a national PSA.
Fine,
you
whatever.
need your. Thank you.
I've just come across a global crisis. It's crazy. It's called CO2. What's it called again?
Emissions, sir. CO2 emissions.
It's called CO2 emissions. It's crazy. Now, we all know that China has the biggest population of... Now, we all know that China has the biggest pollution problem out of any state on this large continent of Earth. It's crazy. It's huge.
Sir, you have your glasses back on.
Just want them on.
Continue,
happy?
Continue, sir.
Are you happy?
Yes.
Fine. No.
No, you know what? No, you're done.
No.
No, you don't get him anymore. You're all done. No more. Nope. Yeah, I don't care. That's what you get. Are you calm again, sir?
Yes. Let's just do this.
Okay. All right. We're rolling.
Fine. Okay. You know, this isn't gonna be anything that you see in your world history class.
And after 13 years, 13 years of ruling the United States and deporting every last Mexican and every last Muslim, Supreme Leader Donald Trump finally eradicated the tyrannical and evil government of democracy and replaced it with a more lenient and fairer system of communism. Any questions?
In your science class.
Okay, kids, so who discovered the light bulb?
Donald Trump.
Yeah. And then who discovered the cure for cancer?
Donald Trump.
All right again. Now who found gravity?
Donald Trump.
And who found the cure for small hands?
Is it Donald Trump?
Wow, right again.
In your world geography class.
Okay, kids, so what's this place right here?
The United States of America.
And what's this place?
The United States of South America.
Now what's this place?
The United States of Africa.
And what is this place?
The United States of Asia.
Finally, what's this place down here?
The United Ball of Australia.
CO2 emissions are huge. They're bad. They're massive, even bigger than my hands. They're huge, as you can see right here. They're huge. It's bigger, huge. Your carbon footprint is what you use. Is your daily activities. How much? Am I doing this right?
CO2 emissions, sir.
Yeah, your CO2, your carbon footprint is the CO2 that you use on a daily basis, your CO2 emissions.
Could you state some facts about CO2 emissions, sir?
Did you know that temperature has raised 1.5 degrees in the past 100 years? Now, is it hot in here? Or is it just me?
Donald, sit down.
Here are a couple ways to reduce your carbon footprint. Number 1, walk from place to place instead of driving. Number 2, ride your bike to work. Number 3, reduce the amount of electricity that you use.
Donald, here's your electricity bill for the month.
Only $13 trillion? Wow, that's a lot better than last year. If you do all 3 of these things, it will help the world immensely. Because if you don't, we're probably all gonna die a horrible death. But don't worry, with your help, we can make the world great again. Are we done here?
Yeah, I think so. That's a wrap.
Alright. What is this global warming stuff anyway? We all know it's fake, right?
I'm pretty sure it's kind of real. I mean, I don't know. Did you hear about Florida?
Florida? I thought that was a myth.
It used to be around. Who knows?
You're supposed to do it when I say good afternoon.
Okay, before. Sorry.
No, now we have his like little banter in the back. Okay. Good afternoon, this is Donald. Good afternoon, this is Donald Trump. Paul, I swear if you do one more thing. Don't laugh afterwards. Today, it's okay.
That was still
Good
recording.
afternoon. Yeah, I know. Good afternoon, unless you're Mexican or Muslim. I'm shaking the table. Good afternoon, unless you're Mexican. Kayla! Forbes, I swear if you don't stop jingling things around, I'm going to come over there and Batista bomb you.
Okay.
CO2 emissions are when you like to date your daughter.
What on earth? Stop it.
Ooh.